So there's one thing I'm really stellar at, and that's always starting new projects. 3 apps in development, countless content plans, endless goals. But finishing them, that's usually where everything just falls apart. And here's how I'm going to fix that in 2025. I'm Jay, a self-taught iOS developer. I work full-time building an app for a startup, run my own indie app business, and do content creation as well. As I was listening to Cortex's yearly theme episode this year, I realized I needed to really make this my year of follow-through. See, there's this really weird gap between my work life and my indie business. At work, I'm reliable. I meet deadlines. I deliver what's needed. But when it comes to my indie projects or things that I'm just trying to commit myself to without anyone else except for myself to hold accountable, they just don't happen. That's when things slide. That's when deadlines are missed. And that's when I just stop working on them. It's frustrating. It makes me feel unreliable to myself. But most importantly, I become unreliable to people who are giving me money. And that just feels very wrong. I just need to fix that. So a great example of this is earlier this year, someone reached out to me about my app, iHog. Apparently, it was crashing every time they opened the app. And you know what? I can confirm it did crash every time I opened the app when I tested it myself. So I knew I hadn't updated it in a while, but apparently it had been since 2022. So that's about 2 years without an update. In that amount of time, I had told myself I'm going to rewrite it. And I had attempted to rewrite it about twice. And usually every time I had started it stopped. Like my momentum to do the rewrite just completely fizzled out. And I abandoned it each and every time. And you know what? People were paying me. In that 2022 update, I put in subscriptions. So people had been paying me yearly and monthly for it to happen. And guess what? I still just abandoned it. So after I received that message, I finally updated it. I said, forget the rewrite. There is no time for that. I just went in, fixed the crashes, updated some dependencies that were causing the crash, and put in a little bit of improvements, a little bit of analytics, stuff like that. And you know what? I shipped it. And from shipping that update, I shipped like 3 more updates. And it felt really nice to actually give people a tool that they needed updated and to make sure that something worked for them. And somehow I still have people actually using the app and continuing to use it. So I am going to continue to update that. And that is actually what led me to this theme, because it felt great to follow through on the promise that I made to these other people and to myself to keep this app updated. So again, this year is about proving that I can actually finish what I start. This experience with iHog, along with the Cortex podcast episode, got me really thinking about what my focus this year should be. And I was able to really pinpoint that I wanted to be more reliable when I made those commitments to myself and to others. So after going back and forth with ChatGPT a bit on what my phrasing of this year should be, I think I started off with like the year of commitment. But let's be honest, I really didn't like that because I always committed myself to these things. I committed myself to those 3 unfinished projects. I committed myself to daily vlogging, which did not happen. I've done lots of commitments. Again, it's the follow through that I don't finish. So again, some back and forth with ChatGPT. It really helped me solidify the phrasing of my theme this year, the year of follow through. And to me, that means sticking with what I start and seeing it through with intention and consistency. So it's not just about like, hey, making this commitment out of thin air and saying, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. It's about actually taking the steps to do X, Y, Z and make sure that by doing the steps in a system, I'm actually going to complete that goal or whatever I've committed to. And to make this happen, I've created this whole system in NotePlan to organize my weeks and track my progress. I considered switching to Notion because it's better for tracking metrics, which part of the system is going to be me tracking different metrics. And we're going to get into what those metrics are a little bit later. We're almost there. But I decided to stick with NotePlan because of the way that NotePlan actually shows my weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly notes on each other when I'm doing reviews. It's just way easier for me to work in the system than it is for me to try to get Notion to do that, which is totally possible. But I am tired of fiddling with tools, and I really just want to focus on getting this system in place and allowing me to follow through with what I've committed to. I've realized that I've also really tend to overcommit myself because, again, I like to start new things and then nothing gets the attention it needs for me to actually follow through. So this year, I'm also going to focus on saying no to things that don't really align with what I want to get done. By narrowing my focus to these fewer projects or to these very specific priorities, I can give each of them my very best efforts and actually probably follow through and complete them. This means being very selective about what I take on and being honest with myself about what I can realistically accomplish. And to make this work, I've broken down all my follow-through focuses into 3 areas in my life. I have my apps, content creation, and then some personal life goals. So let me talk you through how I'm approaching each one. So first off, for my apps, I've established Focus Fridays. So that is a dedicated day each and every week to dive into development. So Focus Fridays are really just about me being consistent. I want to hit 40 of those this year. It gives me a little bit of leeway of missing those. And then I also want to ship 12 app updates this year. So having those really dedicated Fridays will allow me to ship those 12 app updates. Breaking it down this way feels more manageable and will help me keep track of my progress throughout the year. So to the content creation side of things, consistency has usually been my biggest challenge here. How many times have I started Vlogmas and not finished it? How many times have I done a daily vlog, say I'm going to daily vlog, and then I do 3 videos and just don't do it? So consistency, just really bad. And I think that's just like poor planning and expectation on my part. Like I said, overcommitting myself. But what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to take on a really big goal of trying to write a YouTube script for me every 2 weeks so that I can record and edit that and post that every other week instead of trying to do daily or weekly things, because obviously that doesn't work. And I want to maintain some sort of regular posting schedule. I've never done that. I'd like to do that. And then for Instagram or short form content, I'm going to try to do more batch recording, batch editing, so that I can get 40 weeks of posts throughout the year. So I actually want to do a post every single day this year, but I don't think that's realistically going to be possible. Just knowing what's on my plate. So I want to do 40 weeks of posting every single day this year. And the goal with batch recording content, batch editing content, is that I can then schedule my content to come out throughout the week and not have to worry about that. I have already noticed that it's going to be really hard for me to do that because at the beginning of January, my wife and I are taking a trip. I was going to plan on using Sundays as my record and start editing day as my recording days, and then edit. I guess maybe I'm not going to have separate days for recording and editing. Anyway, I was going to use Sundays to be my content creation days, but we're already taking a trip on a Monday, and so that's making me put 2 weeks of content together, and that's really hard to do that much altogether. So hopefully I can pull from some B-roll and let that go, but we'll see how this goes, and we'll see what happens. This seems like I'm already overcommitting to a lot. Later on in another section of this video, we're going to talk about how I'm going to not overcommit myself and how this is going to be okay. And finally, in my personal life, honestly, I just want to recommit to my fitness. I did that a couple years ago. It's great. I have honestly never been healthier, even to this day. But I've started to fall off the track with my activity rings and going to the gym consistently. So really, I just want to start hitting the gym every single day, basically. I don't know what my threshold is there, what my missing threshold is there, but I think I'm going to try to but I want to hit the gym Monday through Sunday. Monday through Friday are going to be longer, hour-long sessions, and then Saturday and Sunday are going to be 30-minute long sessions. I just need to move my body more. I can feel it. I need to move it more. I'll be using the Macro Factor apps and SetGraph to track my workouts and my nutrition progress as well in all of this. It'll just help me stay accountable and see my improvements over time. which is what exactly my systems that I've built out in NotePlan help me do. Beyond fitness, I really want to prioritize spending some time with my wife and my dog and plan activities that kind of get us out of the apartment, because we are in a really pretty area of the nation, and I really want to go and explore that more. Again, I feel like as I'm talking about this out loud, I'm starting to overcommit myself. So let's get into my expected challenges and how I'll overcome those. So while I've got these systems in place, I know sticking to this theme isn't going to be easy. Here are my 3 main challenges I expect to face, and I've kind of thought a little bit through how I wanted to handle each of them. The first one's going to be losing momentum. The second one's going to be overcommitting. And the third one is going to be overwhelming goals. So let's go into losing momentum. I think that is part of the reason I start like new projects over and over again, is because I just lose the excitement because it's taken me so long from just starting to continuous to work on them. So for that, I'm going to just try to take larger projects and break them into smaller projects so they become more actionable quicker. So when working on iHog updates, I'm going to focus on one specific task at a time, like fixing or refining a feature, or even just implementing a new feature, which instead of starting a new app, maybe I think of a new feature that can go into iHog, stuff like that. And hopefully by creating these smaller steps and these smaller things and other things for me to work on, I don't actually lose momentum and I just keep going on the same project. Next up is my overcommitting. I usually, as I've been saying, tend to take on too much, which spreads me really thin and adds to that losing momentum, slows down progress, all that kind of stuff. So this year, I'm going to limit active projects and focus on finishing what I've already started before committing to anything new. And if I have any new ideas that I want to actually tackle right now, I'm actually going to add those to the not now list. And that way, when time comes across, I can pull from that not now list and actually look at these ideas that I have stored. And third is feeling overwhelmed by very long-term goals. This has actually just been a challenge in general, is like, oh, cool, my content plans of daily posting. That's a really long-term goal that I don't actually see finish out until the end of the year. So this makes big projects like that feel really daunting, and it makes it really easy for me to lose focus. So to tackle this, I want to break those goals into more manageable, immediate steps. And that seems really silly because like I have like, daily posting, like that literally is a manageable step. But it still is like doing it 365 times is still really hard. So I'm going to use the tools that like NotePlan provides with its iOS widgets and stuff like that, to actually allow me to stay organized and make sure that I can see my priorities and see what I need to actually accomplish, get done, so I can actually hit those goals at the end of whatever time frame I need to. Another great example of this that I already did was with iHog. Again, really, I tried to do those complete rewrites, and instead of rewriting, I had to take a step back and actually ship an update to get that feeling of, hey, I can actually do this. I can actually commit to something and follow through with it. To address all these challenges, I'm going to be relying on intentional planning, regular reflection, and accountability. Tools like NotePlan really help me show my projects broken down into more actionable steps and track my progress. It also allows me to perform these weekly, monthly, and quarterly reviews on the system and on how many actions I've taken or if I'm actually following through, so that I can evaluate on what's working, what's not working, and what adjustments actually need to be made. And I'm also going to be sharing my goals and progress publicly, which is going to add another layer of accountability and helps me really stay motivated. And that's exactly why I'm making this video, so I can share this journey with you and I can hold myself a little bit more accountable. I'll be documenting my progress and breaking down these systems in future videos, so make sure you subscribe if you want to see how things are going or follow along. You can also check out my blog, written words back in the internet days, heyjwilson.com, for probably a little bit more frequent updates and stuff like that. So I will see you in the next video though. Bye.